You truly, truly trust them. Are they active with you? If they're not, you probably need to be asking around to some of your friends, your peers, people that you trust. A lot of my clients don't want to bug me per se, and I ask them to go ahead and get a hold of me because I rather be a conduit and be able to get some answers versus them being on hold for 2 hours. I moved into the industry. I really just saw where I could bring value to the table to folks and really make a huge difference. And that is exactly, let's see if we can bring some money back into your pocketbook so that you're able to meet all of your requirements.
Welcome to the Innovative Circle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. 𝐀𝐻𝐨𝐿, CEO of Time Research and Innovation, 𝐀𝐻𝐨𝐮𝐭 Marketing Agency, and Sales Funnel Accelerator. ICPcast is an innovative to bring innovative ideas, transformative strategies, and forward-thinking insight from various industries, whether it is in technology, artificial intelligence, marketing, finance, lead generation and sales, business advisory and development, tax and accounting, or sustainability. We bring you insights from some of the brightest minds, C-level executives, and industry leaders who are shaping the future. In today's episode, we are thrilled to welcome Jennifer Crowl, owner of the Valor Insurance Services. She is based in Adel, Iowa, with over 20 years of experiences in insurance industry, including 22 years at Nationwide Insurance and 8 years in financial planning. Jennifer specializes in providing Medicare Advantage Plus, Medicare Supplement Plus, and Prescription Drug Plus to clients across Iowa and the Midwest. Her mission is to empower the senior community by offering tailored insurance solutions that help them retain and manage their finances effectively. U.S. Army veteran and active community member, Jennifer is dedicated to educating her clients and ensuring they are well informed and about their insurance options. We will discuss today empowering seniors with smart insurance choices and financial confidence. So, to all our viewers, get ready for practical strategies, insightful discussion, and fresh ideas to help you grow, succeed, and make an impact. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
Welcome to the Innovative Circle podcast, and thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate inviting me onto this.
And as you know that this is going to be a discussion, and I'm going to be asking you a set of questions, and all our questions are same for every episode that we record to understand and dive into deeper to each settings that we talk about. So thank you again for your contribution today, and I think our viewers, they will love this episode to know about your expertise, experiences, and your support to the insurance industry. So my first question, could you please provide a brief overview of your business and share what inspired you to enter to this field?
Well, just an overview of what Valor Insurance Services provides or does. We first and foremost is the Medicare component. There's a lot of pieces to Medicare. So the first part of that is the educational component. I get clients from anywhere just entering into the Medicare side of things, just young and retiring and coming right on board, to clients that have been referred to me because their siblings or friends understand that I do my best to be able to reduce their costs or get them more benefits and educate them throughout the process. With many other types of policies, I do life insurance, I do long-term care, cancer, heart attack, stroke, dental, vision plans, those type of things. But the area that is most important to me really is that Medicare piece, because that drives everything else as far as cost and benefits and everything. And where I've been in the industry a long time. So I've been in insurance for 30 plus years, started out in the area of auto, like auto and home. It was Nationwide's portion was their agribusiness side. Grew up on a farm, so that was something that came very easily to me with going into this sector. It was really easy for me because my mom had worked in nursing homes. My dad was he was a long-term care administrator. So it was kind of an aha moment being able to the senior market. I worked in financial planning for a while, and I had a friend that had moved over to this space. To be quite frank, it was something that was lucrative for her that appealed to me. But as I moved into the industry, I really just saw where I could bring value to the table to folks and really make a huge difference. And that is exactly what I've been able to do and continue to do.
That's great to know, Jennifer, because when we invent something, we invent from our experiences or the problem we suffer. We wanted to solve those problems that you mentioned, that your parents and your known people, that you wanted to bring a change, and that you are supporting now to the industry. That's a great thing to do. And I think you are devoting itself. Sometimes insurance could be very critical if you think about USA and all other things. And you know that the couple of months before the killing of the head of the insurance company, everything is just like very bad, isn't it? So how do you see yourself among all your competitors, supporting from your heart?
Oh, okay. I lead with my heart because of the educational aspect and me wanting to be personally involved with what's going on with their particular situation, meaning I want to understand what they're dealing with as far as health goes and what they're dealing with family as well. It allows me to create more of a relationship than just a transaction. Where I see agents go wrong is when they're only there solely for their own pocketbook. It is very transparent, and senior market, they see that. A lot of my peers seem to think that they're not educated, or they just don't see through those smoke screens, but they do. They understand different language that different salespeople use. And that is something that I've always been asked, how do you get all of that information from those folks?
Mhm.
What I say is I simply sit down and have a conversation with them. What I hate is sitting down. I don't use my computer a lot. I try to keep that to be the minimum because I want to be able to just have a conversation and find out how they're doing and what health issues that they have going on.
Mhm.
None, celebrating that and being able to figure out what the next step is that they need for their life, their portfolio, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
and just being a person instead of just being a salesperson.
That's a great answer, Jennifer. Thank you very much for your, working with herds. Because when you work with herds, that will give you the delivery better, isn't it? Some people, they will not work with herds. They will only work for money, and the delivery will not get the up to the mark. So thank you for adding that to the conversation. So my next question would be, could you please discuss the key issues in your industry and explain how your efforts are making a difference for your clients and your collaborators?
The key issues right now, at the current moment, there's a lot going politically, and I'm not going to get into all of that. But what I'm going to talk about is the one specific area that has been put in place and is being moved forward right now. And it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. And that is huge. And it's something that a lot of seniors still don't understand. And I've tried to reach out to as many as I can. I was a part of some roundtables, and I've done some speaking for some different events. And that was one of the things that I really honed in on, as all agents should be that are in the Medicare space. So with the Inflation Reduction Act, that really impacts the pharmaceutical side of things for the seniors. It helps a handful of seniors. It has been not quite so helpful for the majority of the sector, in my opinion. So what they've done is they've taken away what we call the donut hole. And that's been a kind of a joke for quite some time because seniors don't understand that until they've had to experience it, a few years in a row. Like I said, Medicare is not easy. There's a lot going on with it. So with this donut hole going away, what they did was they put a cap, they put a ceiling on what seniors will pay out of their pocket for their medications, which is $2,000. What the different companies, so your insurance carriers, what they did in the response to that is some decided to go ahead and take a full deductible amount that the government allowed them to. Some only took a portion, and some companies went to a co-insurance versus a co-pay. The difference between those two words is co-insurance is a percentage of the retail cost of a drug. Co-pay is a set dollar amount that they'll pay for that drug each and every month. So when you put in a co-insurance, and we have individuals that don't know what the retail cost is of their drugs, and I'll be honest, I don't even know what that is because that tends to be a sliding scale. That can be very convoluted and very confusing to them. And we'll just add one more factor in. These carriers also decided that they weren't going to cover quite as many drugs. So what we call a formulary in plain English is what's the list drugs that they're willing to pay for or accept. So when we look at that, if a company has narrowed down how many drugs that they're willing to cover, it makes our job as an agent even harder. If I have a client that has a lot of health issues and they've got a lot of drugs across the spectrum, I'm having to try to fit those all in one carrier. And sometimes they may or may not fit. We had one drug that wasn't even covered by any carrier this year, which was a particular insulin. So I'll give you an example. I had an individual, had she not ran into me, I just had a conversation with her, found out that she had been on Medicare because she's under 65. She qualified for Medicare due to disability. She was on a drug plan that if she would have done nothing and carried through to 2025, she would have been paying over $15,000 for her drugs because they weren't on her list any longer for 2025, but they were for 2024. So in 2024, she spent $1,000 out of her pocket. 2025 would have been a much different outlook. I was able to get her onto a plan that actually she's going to spend $650 out of her pocket, and it added additional medical benefits that she wasn't getting before. So it's being able to recognize what people are dealing with and just asking questions and not being shy about it. I call it being nosy Nancy for a purpose. And so if I laugh about it and I explain why I'm asking the questions that I am, people are a lot more adept to wanting to give me that information. But that's what's going on. The Inflation Reduction Act has been a huge thing. Next year should benefit some folks because there's, I want to say 10 to 15 prescription drugs that are being reduced as far as cost go because they're no longer going to be name brand. So that's going to potentially positively impact a lot of people. And I'm looking forward to that because this year was such a kind of a shocker to them that I've let them know that next year should look a little bit better for them.
Thank you, Jennifer. My next question to you, who are the clients you aim to help and what key benefits do you deliver to them?
Okay. Anybody that is led to me, I am going to help. Those that I'm seeking at this point are mainly the senior market. I do some with under 65, but a majority of what I get is over 65 just because the amount of money that I'm able to save people and the benefits that I'm able to bring to the table. My specialty in the last 2 years, especially, has been the veteran market, that community. And mainly because I've worked a ton with what's called veteran service officers, which those are key people that are in the counties. They're hired by the state, not by the federal government, it's kind of weird to me, but they're state employees that they're drawing together all of the benefits for these veterans. And we have a ton of veterans that have service-connected injuries at varying percentages. Could be hearing loss, it could be COPD, it could be Agent Orange. Like I have a good friend, her husband has Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, that has been connected to Agent Orange. So I look at those and I work with that sector a lot because there's a lot more benefits that they're not aware of they can tap into. And so what I found is in a given household, if I have a husband and a wife that I'm working with, a lot of times I can bring back $5,000 worth of true monies back into their household over the year, plus another $5,000 worth benefits like dental, vision, hearing, and those type of things. So in rural Iowa, that makes a big difference. It absolutely does, because my conversations with them is that everything else is going up in price. Let's see if we can bring some money back into your pocketbook so that you're able to meet all of your requirements as far as, expenses go. So that's the area that I've really focused on, because I've really what I call nerding out. I've nerded out and understood and read and put in place those type of coverages, where a lot of agents, they have not. I went the extra step and actually work with these veteran service officers. And there's some paperwork and some different things that I can actually help complete and be able to also follow up on and make sure that these type of plans are being put in place on the veteran side, because then I know that there's a Medicare piece that comes right in alongside of that brings back those monies into the household and brings those benefits into the households. So it does benefit me, but it benefits that household more in the end.
Thank you, Jennifer. It was a great explanation. And I think the viewers, they will understand what you have said in the US. So everyone, you're watching 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐦𝐢𝐞, and I'm Dr. 𝐀𝐛𝐨𝐮𝐭, and I have Jennifer with me today. And we're going to be continuing our conversation. So my next question to you, what makes your approach unique in helping clients achieving these outcomes?
I think I'm going to go back to the personalization and working from my heart versus my pocketbook. It's sitting down and having initial conversation. I personally like to split things up and part it out piece by piece. And when I'm working with my senior and, folks in the senior community, their brains work very much the same as mine. If I overwhelm them with information, they're only going to retain a very, very small portion. Where if I slice it off and I'm able to give them a portion to begin with, and then come back another day and work on another portion of it, I find those particular individuals become clients of mine and stay with me. And that's, been very important to me, because for one, their time is worth a lot, and so is mine. And so if I can get across what their needs are to begin with and be able to understand that, and then be able to speak plain English to them, because that's where a lot of folks get very confused, is there's a lot of insurance jargon that's used, acronyms, different verbiage, and I don't want to confuse them. I'm different than most, because a lot of agents, their goal is to confuse them so that they can basically do whatever they want to with that client and make them believe that it's the best thing for them, when a lot of times it's not. I want them to understand what I'm doing with them and for them, because it's their decision at the end of the day. It's not mine. That's everything that I'm doing with them is for their own policy, their insurance, not mine. And so it's very rare that I have someone look at me and go, just tell me what I need. Because I've educated them and they've understood what they need, and they guide me in that form. Because that's the reason why I'm an independent agent, is to be able to have everything to bring to the table and be able to show them every aspect of Medicare, so that they make that choice. Varying reasons as to why they don't, but I have just chosen to take the path that I have, so that I have everything available to them and they can make their own choices.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for your very much clear pointed out how you work. So my next question to be, are partnerships part of your business model? And from their perspectives, what benefits make you an ideal collaborator?
Okay. So partnerships that I've been able to maintain, and that how the benefit to them as well as to me. The biggest one, it's been in the veterans realm, and that would be the veteran service officers, those partnerships. And what they're seeing is that they're not having to wear one more additional hat and having to know that Medicare piece.
Mhm.
And so it allows them to know that I'm trustworthy and I'm going to do what's right for those people. And
Mhm.
so when I sit down with folks, I'm able to walk through and be able to see where they're at on the veteran side and understand that too, because I've had them educate me on their portion of benefits and what percentages mean what when it comes to service-connected injuries.
Mhm.
And so that's what I bring to them. And what I bring to them is when I'm out and I'm talking to folks and I find out that a particular individual is a veteran, if they have not been able to work with a veteran service officer in their county or in their state, whatever it may be, I'm connecting them with a person that is able to, that understands all the elements on the veteran side, and I get them connected up to that. What that's also allowed me to do is there's an individual that I've had, two people that have been integral to being able to connect me to several different senior events, people that are influencers, whatever it may be. There's a gentleman on the veteran side that he runs a lot of the state programs. And so I've been able to work with him to be able to get into the VFW conferences and be able to be there, to be able to be a part of, I've been a part of the retirement appreciation days. There's several different events that have came through that individual. What I give back to him is appreciation, because he really, that's a part of his job. I just basically talk him up to his senior level. And I have another lady that now is my client, but she's worked for a funeral home for quite some time. And she had been a part of several different events through that. And so she connected me with those particular senior expos or events or whatever, that's allowed me to be able to get a lot more exposure. And so that collaboration has been great. And mainly I've just poured back to her, making sure that she's in the right place and doing the right things for her own Medicare. So those are probably the biggest. The veteran service officers is the biggest collaboration, I think, that has really benefited majority of the state and myself.
Thank you, Jennifer. To all the viewers, thank you for watching ICPcast. I'm Dr. Shah Siddiqui, CEO of Time Research and Innovation, and I have Jennifer Crowl, owner of Valor Insurance Services. We will dive into some great insights, but for now, we are taking a short break. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Great conversations start with thought-provoking ideas, and visionary leaders turn them into reality. Meet Dr. Shah Siddiqui, an entrepreneur, AI strategist, and business growth partner dedicated to helping professionals and companies push boundaries, innovate, and thrive to drive transformation.
Did you know that 92% of executives consider digital transformation and AI adaptation are essential for staying competitive in today's market? Furthermore, companies that use data-driven insights for decision-making also see a 23% boost in profitability compared to those that don't. Through ICPcast, we bring together the brightest minds in AI, business, finance, marketing, and other tentative fields to deliver strategies that drive measurable success.
Dr. Shah is the founder and C-level executive and leads multiple startups, including 𝐀𝐛𝐨𝐮𝐭 Marketing Agency, Neurodivergent Business Consortium, NBC, Time Research and Innovation, TRI, and Green Threads DPP. He is AI and technology expert and helps businesses harness AI for scalability and efficiency. He is a sales and business growth strategist and the creator of the Sales Funnel Accelerator, SFA program, to guide C-suite executives to maximize conversions and revenue.
You might be surprised to learn innovation isn't just about your ideas, it's about execution. In fact, only 10% of companies successfully turn their innovative ideas into scalable strategies, while the rest struggle with execution. Businesses that focus on effective implementation rather than just ideation 3 times more likely to outperform their competitors. After working with industry leaders and disruptors, I have learned one thing: success isn't just about what you know, it's about how you apply it. That's why I created Sales Funnel Accelerator and 𝐀𝐻𝐫𝐞 to provide actionable insights that you can apply right way to drive business growth and innovation.
Podcasting is now one of the most powerful tools for business influence, with 80% of listeners taking action after hearing expert insights. And when it comes to driving sales, 78% of social sellers outperform peers who don't use social media for business networking.
Are you ready to be the part of the conversation that is shaping the future of business? Let's explore innovation, strategy, and leadership together. Book your cast with me today.
Welcome back to 𝐀𝐻𝐫𝐞. I'm Dr. 𝐀𝐻𝐨 𝐶𝐿𝐵𝐞, and I have here with me Jennifer Crowl, owner of the Valor Insurance Services. We have got some exciting insights coming up. So stay with us as we dive deeper into empowering senior with smart insurance choices and financial confidence. Let's get started. So Jennifer, thank you very much for your contribution today. I think our viewers are going to love it. My next question to you: could you share your insight on upcoming industry trend and how you are adapting to remain ahead?
Well, very interesting question, because 2 years ago, I had transitioned from a brokerage firm of which I worked at that simply worked off of a model of calling seniors. And that's all they did was call. Or they were able to stop and what we call door knock individuals from a mailer that they had received back requesting information. A lot of seniors don't know when they get a mailer in their household what that does when they go to return it. And so I have a lot of my own clients that will show me different things. And I just basically inform them that that would be good for file 13, meaning the garbage, because that's inviting someone to try to reach out to them or try to get a hold of them. And if they needed some additional help in the Medicare side, that is something that I can definitely be able to provide to them. I think that the model is changing quite a bit. And one of the biggest changes that took place this last year was the commission structure for agents. So I think that the senior community needs to understand what's going on in that piece, because that can be extremely impactful to them. What I've personally seen is that there's been times that Medicare has been trying to transition folks to work through Medicare and Medicare only to be able to sign up for their Medicare plans. I've asked a good amount of my clients as to their feelings and their opinions on taking out the agent out of the equation and just having them work directly with Medicare. And that was not a positive response by them. They want to be able to have someone, and I go into people's homes a majority of the time. At least the first 2 to 3 visits, I will be in their home. It helps them to be able to see me, understand who I am, that I'm real, and also for me to be able to kind of see their environment and also understand them a little bit better. But besides that, what taking the agent out does is they're only going back to almost like a telemarketing aspect. And that's what we're trying to get rid of in this day of age, is having people being taken advantage of over the phone. And so if you're only able to utilize Medicare, that's taking out a big piece, a big educational piece. And so that's the bigger part that we're seeing. There was a couple of years ago that if they had diabetes, they could switch their plans, but the only way that they could switch them is by going through Medicare directly. So we've seen a lot of different things that's taking out the agents. So with taking commissions away on and that was on the pharmaceutical piece, there was several different carriers that decided that they weren't going to pay new commissions for prescription drug plans. And if I'm being extremely honest and candid, that is probably the hardest part of what we do as agents, is doing the prescription reviews. We get paid the least on those. They take the most time, and they're the most volatile, because what can happen is you can have a person mid-year have a prescription that they had been taking all year long, and then and then the carrier decides to pull that from their prescription list. And they can do that at any point in time. Doesn't happen a ton, but it can happen. And that puts that person in a really precarious position, because then likely it's creating more of an expense for them that they did not plan on. And so now they're having to search around and try to figure out where they're going to come up with that extra money. Or if there's other prescription drugs out there that they can use that's a generic or that's similar to. So there was one carrier in specific that not only took away being able to be paid on new plans, but they also took away the renewal income. And that was huge for a lot of agents. It didn't impact me much at all because I hadn't really written a lot for them, but there were agents that lost thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, when that happens, what their response is, I'm not going to write prescription drug plans. Well, what that does for the consumer, for that Medicare beneficiary, is it creates a issue that they're either being abandoned, orphaned, or they're having to go out and try to search and find someone that can help them. Well, we also have SHIP that's in place, which is a voluntary organization. It's volunteers. They have 4 hours of training to be able to do what they do. As an agent, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours of training and money that I've had to spend and licenses that I've had to get to be able to recommend different insurance plans. A volunteer is, what they're there to do is to be able to guide, but they are not to recommend, because they're not licensed insurance agents. We're seeing that is transitioning a lot too, where they're becoming a lot more vocal and guiding people to plans that probably aren't in that person's best interest, based on a limited amount of exposure and education on it. So I love SHIP. I think they're great, but sometimes we're finding that they're overstepping where they're supposed to be stopping at. They're going over that particular threshold, and I'm having to kind of repair, just basically go back in and fix some of those issues. So those are some pieces that are going on right now. Is we've got SHIP in place, we've got people that are getting abandoned, and I don't know that it's going to get a lot better unless our Medicare beneficiaries step up and let their legislatures know, let people know in the different parts of the government know that they want an agent to be there so that they can advocate for them, they can educate them, they can be a conduit and help them. And that's what we're here for, is to be able to really be able to help and serve our clientele.
Thank you, Jennifer. So my next question to you would be how you measure the success of your work, both for your business and for your clients you serve.
So really, you're kind of asking about my time management. It's been interesting. As I said, I worked for a brokerage 2 years ago. I went independent. That's very much different. I take on a lot more of the administrative duties that comes along with that. So what's beautiful about that too is it gives me an opportunity to be able to have a person that I employ. So I have a client that had reached out to me when she knew that I was transitioning, and happens to be that they were neighbors to my parents, and her husband is a part of the American Legion post that I'm a member of, and she had worked at a insurance agency in downtown Des Moines for years and years and years, and had a really good background of experience. She was retired. She just wanted to have a few hours a week that she could work and feel like she made a difference. And she is definitely doing that. I brought her on board a few months after I transitioned over to being independent, had her call all my clients and check in with them. And it's been beautiful from that point on. She's enjoyed my clients. She's their, basically she's their peer. They're in that same age sector. She understands a lot of the stuff. She doesn't give recommendations because she's not licensed, but she sure does get them that information back to me that I need to make a call out. She's been very integral to me being able to keep doing what I do best, is sitting down and educating people and getting them placed in the right products per se. I've had referral partners that have been integral to being able to splice off. I do under 65, but I have an individual that I work with for the most part on that part, because that's where their experience is a lot more than I. And just working in the veteran space, I've been able to find outreaches to be able to do. And so I try to manipulate my calendar and my week as best as I can. I'll work a Saturday. So during the week, maybe I have something that I need to do in the midweek that's personal. So I just kind of offset those type of things. Mondays and Fridays, I work in my home office and catch up on some administrative tasks. And I go out and meet people Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, unless my calendar's a little bit different because of an event or whatnot. But if someone calls and they need something, I'm going to make every effort to be able to get in front of them, or at least get a resolution and a solution to them as quick as possible. And so that's where I find that, a lot of my clients don't want to bug me per se. And I ask them to go ahead and get a hold of me, because I rather be a conduit and be able to get some answers versus them being on hold for 2 hours and not get an answer.
Thank you. So my next questions would be, can you share a story of particularly rewarding projects or client success that highlights your impact?
Well, I'm going to go back to the veteran space, because what I've done is I've looked at and done some reviews of one of the counties that I work with more predominantly that's had me step in. And that's where I've got the totals of, per household, what I've been able to do with direct money in, monies back out. It's mainly, being able to go in, look at a service-connected injury. If a person has 100% service-connected permanent and total injury on a veteran side, their spouse they're eligible for a piece of Medicare that's called 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐦𝐢 that pays for it. It covers things just like a supplement would. And so it picks up everything that their Medicare plan does not. And so that allows me to be able to go in and work with that couple in unison and be able to bring more benefits in. That has been absolutely immense to people, because with what we're seeing, good grief. When you look at egg prices going to $9 and $10 a dozen, when you're looking at meat prices being what they are, they need to be able to have that money in, because they still need to be able to get, their healthy foods and different things in the door. There are also a lot of my clients don't realize that there's what's called a low income subsidy that's provided through the federal government. It's also considered or called extra help. What that does is they look at where they're at in relation to the set poverty level for the year. Each year this changes. But what they did last year is they expanded this to be folks that are at 150% of the poverty level. And what that does for a person is, if they qualify for it, they're able to get their prescriptions reduced. So a name brand would be maxed out at like $12.14 per prescription, and a generic is like $4 and some odd cents. But it allows them to be able to not have deductibles and those type of things. And so that's something that just one of my own neighbors, I realized this year, fell within that 150%. And so we were able to get her prescriptions reduced from, she was going to pay over $100 for the prescription plus a $420 deductible. So that's $520, where she's now able to pay $12.14 for that same prescription. So it's immense for that one particular household. And then for the rest, it just depends on what they're taking and what they're on, but that can make a huge difference.
Thank you, Jennifer. My last question. What advice would you give it to inspiring entrepreneurs make a mark in your field?
Make sure that you understand the ins and outs of the industry itself. Really, really dig in and find a mentor that you can connect to. That's huge. I did have a lot of great training at the brokerage that I came from. I just had a lot more that I wanted to accomplish and knew that I could do it independently. I really do think that being able to get the education first was huge to my success now. And just trust in the process of connecting with people. A lot of people think that they should be able to sit down with someone and be able to shell out 4 or 5 policies all in one setting. And I'm going to take it back to keep it simple, silly. Use the KISS method. It will always work for you, because if you split off and you gain that trust in that, and they know that you're reliable and that they know that when they call you, you're going to be there, and you establish that relationship, that's key. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, set a pace and stick with it and see, but check yourself. A lot of what I do is I'm doing what's called an after action review. And that comes from the Army. When they go out and they do a maneuver, they come back and they do what's called an ARR, after action review. And so just come back and reevaluate what went well and what didn't, and what you can do to be able to make that better. So I would go with that. I don't think that in this day of age, you want to be in a situation where all you're doing is phone calling. I was always taught to be able to have several lines in the water. So as if we're fishing in a pond, you need to be able to have many lines cast. And what that means is, in simplistic terms, is you go out and you go out to your community, to different events, and make yourself known. Heck, I have yard signs, I have, newsletters that I'm in, I have events that I go to, I have people recommending me. So there's many different ways that I'm getting my name out. And it's like I said, not a sprint, it's a marathon. It will take a little bit, but as long as you're willing to do the work, you will, I just say that these last 2 years I've been blessed and highly favored, mainly because I put the work in to begin with, and I put the right work in.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution today. At the end of our conversation, I normally ask to the guest to add some key takeaways for the viewers. Can you add a few takeaways from our conversation for the viewers to think about it?
Think about who you're working with. If you're a Medicare beneficiary, who are you working with? Can you truly, truly trust them? Are they active with you? If they're not, you probably need to be asking around to some of your friends, your peers, people that you trust, and see who they're working with, because you might just need to find a different avenue to be able to go to. Because I guarantee if you haven't had a review of your Medicare in the last couple of years, you need to have one. You absolutely do, because you're either overpaying or you're not utilizing all the benefits that you have. So that would be the biggest key that I would say, is find someone you can trust and have them work for you. And that's exactly, as an agent, that's what I do. I work for my clients. I've already made the money. I'm just trying to earn it now.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone, for tuning the Innovator Circle podcast. And we hope today's conversation with Jennifer Crowl, owner of Valor Insurance Services, has sparked some fresh ideas and provided valuable insights to elevate your business strategies to the next level. So don't forget to subscribe our podcast and as well as our newsletter on icpcast.com. Share this episode with your network. Leave us a review. It helps us reach and inspire more leaders like Jennifer. Follow us on social media and as well as follow our YouTube channels. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and keep leading the way in innovation. So Jennifer, thank you very much for joining today's webinar, and bye-bye to everyone. And I will welcome you with another guest next episode. Until then, stay tuned and bye-bye.